Hey everyone, me Kevin here. I think there are going to be buying opportunities for Tesla stock no matter who wins, Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. Now, you might think that's crazy, but let's first start with why Donald Trump could potentially hurt Tesla stock and the longer term potential benefits. We'll start with the benefits. Donald Trump is likely, just like he did during his last administration, to seek to reduce regulation and actually reduce regulation, right? He'll actually do it. This is one of the reasons that, in my opinion, you're seeing innovators like Elon Musk wanting to push for a Donald Trump. It doesn't have to do with tax credits. Elon's already made it clear he doesn't think the tax credits matter and that Tesla will make it despite the tax credits. I agree with that. They'll survive, although there's a lot of profit that'll be left on the table without them. But Elon, as we know, has made the bet on an autonomous future for Tesla and a future that gets us to Mars via SpaceX. Now, that's really a different topic, but I think that Donald Trump is a symbol for Elon Musk of freedom from regulation, freedom from potentially the FAA, the FTC, anti-monopolistic behavior. We've seen it with, Mrs. Khan and all of the anti-monopoly talk and partnerships that have just been crushed under her administration. Look at, for example, NVIDIA wanted to buy ARM, which is now public and has done extremely well after going public. But anyway, I think Elon sees that freedom as an opportunity to get us into an autonomous future faster. Now, that might come with risks. Well, people on one side of the aisle say that, hey, regulation is there for a reason to minimize the potential death or, injury that could come from training autonomous vehicles that are fully autonomous without a driver. Whereas others say, hey, more people die from driving cars regularly, over 40,000 a year. So even if some die training in autonomous vehicles, it would be significantly safer in the long term than people driving cars. I actually agree with that. And so I think because Elon Musk has told us he's betting the future on autonomy, Donald Trump is really that path towards an autonomous future on a nationwide scale. While you might get autonomy for Tesla's robotaxi vehicles in certain areas, kind of like how Waymo operates in Santa Monica and Phoenix, Arizona, and some other locations like San Francisco, you might see some of that with Tesla's robotaxis as well, whether it's Palo Alto or Austin, Texas, or otherwise. I think Elon sees the path towards true scale as one where you have wide opportunities to deploy robotaxis nationwide, and that's why he really is gunning for a Trump win here. Now, even if you do have a Trump win, you're going to have some risks. First, you're going to have the risks of actually getting autonomy to the level where you can truly scale autonomy as quickly as Elon thinks. And I think, as usual, his estimates are a little optimistic. I do think the future is fully autonomous and heavily based on electric vehicles. I'm a big fan long term. But I do think some of the more recent expectations that full autonomy could be here and present, where we could own our own robotaxis as part of a robotaxi fleet by like the end of 2026, 2027, is a little optimistic, potentially too optimistic, especially since, and this is the downside of a Trump administration, you're going to lose a lot of electric vehicle tax credits and battery manufacturing tax credits that a lot of people just are not paying attention to. First of all, they take Elon for his word that, hey, tax credits are going to hurt other EV manufacturers in America more than they will hurt Tesla, and Tesla will survive. Well, let's break this down. First of all, yes, I agree that Tesla will survive. I'm not concerned about that. Tesla will survive even if there are no tax credits. There's no doubt about that. But this idea that Tesla is actually really competing with other electric vehicle manufacturers in America, I think is nonsensical. We know Ford is basically losing money because of their electric vehicle business, Ford and GM shrinking their EV businesses. Really, the companies that are crushing it in electric vehicles are in China. Look at BYD with their hybrid and fully battery electric vehicle models. And China is coming to the Americas. For now, they're coming to South America. They're, building up shop basically in Mexico and Brazil. And eventually, I think it's likely just like what happened with the Japanese auto industry in the 80s coming into America, where people are like, what? Cheap and quality? What? This is unbelievable. I think the same thing will happen with China. People have this impression, well, it's an old school impression now, but 10 years ago, everybody's like, oh, it's from China, it's cheap and crap. Today, it's like, oh, it's from China. It's like, okay, well, they're pretty good at manufacturing. Like, they've gotten really good. Yeah, I mean, look at, the iPhones that are manufactured in China, just as a quick example. And they're trying to do that, Apple's trying to do this in India, but they're having quality issues. So anyway, they'll get there. But what's interesting is, Chinese manufacturers, at some point, the protectionism will fade, and people will demand those higher quality, cheaper Chinese vehicles, and eventually we'll probably all be driving Chinese vehicles, unless Tesla can really, really stay ahead of them, which is possible. They might. One of the ways they might is under a Trump administration, you get more protectionism. You're going to get more tough on China, more tariffs, and I think that's truly what Elon sees, is he sees the autonomous future under Trump, thanks to deregulation, but also protectionism against China. He sees them as the true evil, and that's your real problem. So now you have to consider for a moment, okay, well, if that's what Elon is concerned with, then let's think for a moment, what does Harris do? Well, Harris, you probably have less of that protectionism, which means the China EV industry can continue to expand in South America, come closer to our border, and eventually to the United States, which honestly is going to be a good thing for consumers, so you'll have lower cost vehicles, even Chinese-made Teslas. But then, the issue that you have with Trump is you are going to end up in a situation where, oopsie doopsies, I lose a lot of tax credits now. See, the autonomous future and unregulated potentially, or less regulated autonomous future, is still a future. It is not a present reality. And much like Warren Buffett says in Securities Analysis, we should analyze companies based on what they are doing today, not what they are doing in the future. And that's something that right now there's a lot of hopium for the future. Optimus, going to Mars, autonomous, but what we have today are massive tax credits that are extremely beneficial to Tesla today. Now, initially, people only think about the tax credits for, well, frankly, the $7,500 on vehicles. And again, people think, hey, Elon says that's not really going to affect Tesla. It's going to. It's not just the $7,500, though. There are other tax credits. Let's analyze all of them together. So first, you've got the $7,500 for the tax credit for actually buying a car. This makes it easier to buy an electric vehicle because the consumer, well, obviously, is getting $7,500 off now at the point of purchase rather than on their tax return a year later or incorporated into their lease payment. That's a really big deal. That's a great benefit. This enables Tesla with really the opportunity to raise their prices or not drop prices as much, because we know Tesla prices have been plummeting. They would be plummeting more without these tax credits. I'm highly convinced of that. But it's not just the $7,500 for the consumer. It's actually also the regulatory credits, the ZEV credits, the zero emission vehicle credits that they get for manufacturing cars. Tesla generated about $1,600 per vehicle sold in Q3 in ZEV credits. That's over 5 times as much as they did last year. Look, here's a Barron's article talking about it. Tesla generated $739 million in credit sales in the third quarter. That's beyond the $7,500 for the actual vehicle. That's about $1,600 per vehicle, up from $300, up over 5x from last year. So now all of a sudden, it becomes more expensive for the consumer to buy a Tesla if Donald Trump removes these tax credits day one, as he says he will. Elon says, don't worry, we'll be fine. We'll be able to take more market share. You already have the American market share. I mean, short of like VinFast or Rivian or, some of the smaller volume companies. You already have the EV market, a lot of it. And Teslas are great, don't get me wrong. I love my Model S. But it's not just the $7,500, it's the $1,600. And then on top of that, what do you potentially lose? And this is why potentially a Harris administration could actually, have some benefits as well. You have to remember also the energy storage incentives, which this is disclosed in their 10K. But look at this. Standalone energy storage technology is eligible for a tax credit of between 6 to 50% of qualified expenditures, regardless of the source of energy, which may be claimed by our customers or by us with arrangements where we own the systems and basically lease them to the clients. So now you have to think to yourself, okay, well, what's the tax credit for these batteries? Well, it's about $32 per megawatt, per kilowatt. Okay, why does that matter? Well, that matters because a mega pack has like 3,900 kilowatts times $32. That's $124,800 for each mega pack. If a mega pack's going for $1 million, that's like an extra 12% that a customer is able to pay because of these tax credits, or Tesla is able to collect. So one of the reasons you're getting this explosion in battery sales, where Tesla's actually eating market share from Enphase, who also sells batteries, is because of the tax credits. A homeowner can deduct like 30% of their battery purchase. You spend $5,000 on a battery, you're getting $1,500 as a tax credit, and now you're saving money monthly by reallocating when you're actually using your energy. Like, the tax credits are really incentivizing the green industry. Now, that's not to say that that's not inflationary. It is, right? The Inflation Reduction Act is inflationary up front, but long term, as these manufacturing facilities are built out over long term, and these credits fade over the long term, by 2032, a lot of these phase out, and then you end up with, more manufacturing for mega packs and home batteries, and otherwise, all of a sudden you actually reduce the cost of batteries. That's the whole point of the Inflation Reduction Act long term. But in the short term, you create inflation with it. It's just the way it is, because you've got to build the manufacturing, build the infrastructure out, which is inflationary. So this actually gives you some really serious benefits for Tesla under a Harris administration for continuing to sell batteries and existing cars. So this is kind of where you have to look at Tesla on two sides. Are you making a bet on Tesla for the easiest path to an autonomous future? Then you probably want Trump. If you're looking at Tesla as the easiest path to sell as many cars as possible and as many batteries as possible with the greatest profit margins, you're probably leaning towards a Harris. But a Harris administration restricts your potential autonomous valuation, which is certainly a premium that's sitting on Tesla right now, selling for over a 3 peg. Let me update the valuation on Tesla right now really quickly. Whereas with Trump, you're going to lose all these tax credits, which is a near-term hit. You really hurt Tesla in the near term. It's going to suck to lose those tax credits if they actually get removed the way Donald Trump says he will. Now, it's possible that you end up getting, Trump winning, and then Elon convinces him not to kill the credits. That's possible, right? But let's see here. But it's the opposite of what Trump has said. Tesla right now is selling for, let's see, $2.41 EPS expected. That's $100, and we're probably looking at about a growth rate of 28%. Yeah, 100.4 divided by 28. You're at a peg of 3.5, which is very, very high. Even for a software company, it's high. So valuation's rich, and so you potentially, in the short term, under Harris, at least maintain your credits, but you hurt that autonomous future, which could hurt the valuation. And under Trump, you lose the credits, which hurts you in the near term, which also hurts the valuation because now your EPS goes down. So I think in both cases, no matter who wins, you actually have some short-term pain for Tesla. In the long term, though, I wouldn't bet against this company. That's my take. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you all the best out there. Good luck, and let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, if you want to diversify, go check out househack.com. You get a convertible bond offering that's open right now, which means you get 100% of the upside in the stock when we go public. Knock on wood, sooner rather than later. No guarantees, though. Obviously, can't. It does. The fat lady doesn't sing until the fat lady has sung, as they like to say. And you get paid 5% in the meantime on those convertible bonds. So check them out over at househack.com for accredited investors. Read the solicitation and PPM over there. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye. Good luck.
Why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.